Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. It's been a few days since I've been on, and I thought I would come on and talk to you about something. I don't know if I'm going to do any reading. I do have my cards here at the ready if I need them, but I wanted to talk to you today about something that I just realized, and it just like hit me like a ton of bricks. Now, I've been to Portland, Oregon twice in my life, and I love Portland. It's weird, it's wacky, it's fun, and the people are amazing. And while I was in Portland, I got a bumper sticker from a friend of mine. It says "Keep Portland Weird," and that became a sort of a rallying cry, I think, for Portland, that people did things outside of the box. They didn't like go in and with the thought that they were going to do all this stuff and that it was going to be that it was going to be what the impact was going to be. They just did it because it was felt right. It felt energetically right for them to do it. And I am loving the stuff about the frogs. I am loving the Portland frogs. I mean, I love to dress up anyway because I've been doing cosplay for about 10 years now. And cosplay isn't just what these crackpots in DC are doing. Cosplay is an art form. It is an art form like other art forms. It's not just, um, you know, it should not be described in a negative connotation. Just because somebody does cosplay doesn't mean that they're a crackpot. And I I get affronted by that sometimes because I make costumes and stuff like that. And I do it for fun, and I do it for the same reason that the people in Portland are dressing up like frogs. I do it for fun. I do it to have fun, to amuse, entertain, and get some laughs. One of my favorite costumes was dressing up as Willy Wonka back in 2017, 2018, 2019, thereabouts. And it was so much fun. And while I was at a convention dressed as Willy Wonka, a young man came up to me, and he was disabled. He was, I think, Down syndrome or autistic. And he came up and he was like doing this, and he was all happy and everything, and it was just really lovely. And he wanted a picture. So I took the hat off my head and I put it on his head, and I held up was carrying a little bowl that was full of candy. And so I held it in front of him, and we took a picture, and his dad was so happy, and just made him really, really happy. And I thought that was the reason for doing it. That was right there was the reason for doing it. Another time we were in a restaurant, and we had just left a convention to go and have lunch, and we wanted to get something to eat, something like hot as opposed to just eating sandwiches. So we went to the nearby restaurant, and we were dressed. I was dressed as the Sixth Doctor in a dress that I had made, and my husband was dressed as the Sixth Doctor as well. So we walked into this restaurant, and we sat down to at a table, and my husband went and ordered some food. And before he came back, a woman came up to me and said, "We see your costume. Can we get some pictures taken with you and our kids?" And I was like, "Sure, that's no problem." I said, "My husband will be back in a minute, and we can do the pictures." And she said, "We don't want to disturb your meal." I said, "No, you're good. It's okay. Don't worry about it." I said, I wanted to, spread joy. It's like one of those things, happy things. So the long and the short of it is, we took the pictures with the kids. It was really adorable, and it was really fun, and we were very happy to do it. And that's what cosplay is for me. That's what it's about. It's about spreading joy. It's not about dressing as a boogeyman and going after people and hurting people. That's not the point of it. The point of it is to spread joy, to to give people a reason to smile, to give them laughter, to bring calm and joy into their lives, into their hearts. And that's what it's about. It's not about what we're seeing play out in the US each day. That's not what it's about at all. So when I started seeing the frogs in Portland, my immediate thought was this was a great idea. and leave it to the people of Portland to come up with this idea, because artists and creative people always come up with something creative to do. They come up with something really creative to do as a form of protest, and this is different. This is different than, say, Gavin Newsom going and posting on Twitter in all caps and doing all that. That's a good way of trolling. That's a really good way of trolling. But what um what the Portland people are doing is they're saying, you know what? If they're going to hide their faces and they're going to impose this horrid stuff onto the people, then let's make them look ridiculous. And the best way to make them look ridiculous is to dress up and to go out and to do this. And that's what they're doing. And I think that's what it's about. It's about, really mocking this authoritarian nonsense that's going on. And it is a really good it's a good idea. It's a good way to do it. So I'm really, really pleased with it. But the other thing that struck me with regards to all of this, with the frogs and everything, I got to thinking about a movie I saw a few years ago, or it was about 15 years ago or so. It's an older movie, well, actually made around 2000s thereabout, and it was called Monsters Incorporated. And if you've ever seen this movie, it's about two monsters, Sully and Mike, and they're not hard to. I have one actually. I have Sully up there somewhere. There's Mike. Let me get him. Come here, Mike. Okay. I mean, you see him, and you know that this is Monster AG, Monster Incorporated, Monsters Incorporated. In German, it's called Monster AG, which is like Monsters Incorporated. And God, isn't he cute? But at any rate, in the movie, the monsters were terrified of children. Fear was fear was an idea that they had with regards to kids. Okay, so everything that they were doing was from a basis of fear. So they would go in and they would scare the kids. The kids would scream, and that would create energy for the power. It would be like solar, like what we have solar panels or wind energy and stuff like that. Well, the monsters would use screams, children's screams, as a way of powering their homes. And basically what happened with this was the children would scream when they would see the monsters, and the monsters would go rah and stuff like that, and they would frighten the kids. And Sully was the scarer. He would go through the door and, scare the children. And Mike here was the assistant. And Mike would Mike was really scared of the kids. Okay? All of the monsters were scared of the kids. And they even had a thing called Children Detection Agency, which was like they called it the CDA, and it's they would come in and they would there was this one monster who got touched by a sock, and they would say 2319. They would scream it 2319, and then the CDA would come and they would detoxify the place. So this was like a huge, huge fear that these monsters had of children. And so anytime a child would touch them, they would be like 2319, and they would, lose their fur or something. And fear was the basis for everything that they did. Everything that they felt or thought was based in fear. And how do you respond to fear when something happens? You either you scream, or you back off, you're intimidated, or you're just what's the word? But the fear has an impact on the way people react. Now, at the end of the movie, um, they're leaving Monsters Incorporated. They're coming outside, and Mike says something about it, And he says, well, we may have lost our jobs and we may have everything gone to all the heck and, this, that, and the other, but at least we had laughs. And Sully is like, laughs. And then he had an idea. And laughter became the best way for them to counter the fear that they were experiencing. Once Sully and Mike realized that the children were not dangerous to them, they were able to help them, or help Boo, it's a little girl. They were able to help get her back home. So once they realized that she's not, and he said, and Sully says at one point, hey, Mike, I don't think this kid's dangerous. And Sully and Mike doesn't believe him. Mike's like, "Oh yeah, sure, right, okay." And Billy Crystal, he did a great job with Mike's voice, and he's like, it just makes him crazy," and he just freaks out. But Sully remained firm in this idea, saying, "Wait a minute, I don't think this kid's dangerous. I don't think we have any reason to be afraid of her." You see where this is going? When somebody's afraid of something, they're irrational about that thing that they're afraid of. They either do not want to admit that they're afraid, or they become defensive about it, about being afraid of it. And what is happening in Portland right now is people are saying these awful things that are happening. And I'm not saying that this movie makes light of what's happening right now. But what I'm saying is the people are recognizing that when you're laughing and when you're experiencing laughter and you're having this terrible thing going on, and then you see a bunch of frogs coming out and dancing and doing their thing, and then you've got people dressed as unicorns and Tyrannosaurus Rex, you're doing the thing like that. But when you see all that stuff, then you have no room for fear. You have no reason to be afraid of anything because you're seeing that, and your initial response to that is to laugh at it. And when Boo, the little girl in the movie, laughed at Mike when he fell into the CDs, poor thing. When she laughed, they had a short circuit. Suddenly, the realization was there that the laughter was actually more powerful than scream. And that's what Sully realized. He said, wait a minute, laughter is 10 times more powerful than scream. So when you go in and you make the kid laugh, and so at the end of the movie, Mike here goes and does a stand-up routine for a kid, and the kid is laughing, then he's being able to create 10 times more energy by the laughter than his friend Sully could do with the scream. So that became sort of a sort of an idea. And I think that is kind of where the Portland folks are with regard to this. They're saying, wait a minute, we are seeing this stuff going on, and we're recognizing that laughter is more potent than screaming. That laughter is what takes away the fear. And so while you've got a bunch of butch guys up there trying to be, strong and intimidating and strike fear into the heart of the bravest man, if you will, and then you got somebody coming in and saying, this is funny, this is comical, and they're making fun of them. And look at what happened with Jimmy Kimmel. It's the same thing. Jimmy Kimmel was making jokes. He was laughing. He was giving people a reason to not be afraid because his jokes were impacting people in a positive way. And that's the same thing that's happening with Monster Incorporated. It's the same thing that's happening in Portland with the frogs, and it's the same thing that's happening when people start laughing at and mocking the people that are creating this disharmony. And so I think that that's what the lesson of Monsters Incorporated was, that laughter can create an energy field around people, and it can give people courage where they don't think they have any. I mean, it's a lot easier to show up and protest in a costume where people can't see your face than it is to try and hide your face and instill fear into the other people. People are going to be more inclined to link arms with a frog that they can't see the person in the costume than they are to link arms with somebody who instills fear into their minds and hearts. So that's what I think is really going on, and I think that's what the message is. And so I'm not going to pull cards today. I'm just going to say that there are messages everywhere. We're getting messages through lots of different things and lots of different places. And right now I'm getting one through Monsters Incorporated, because I think that it's an important message um, that you recognize what fear is and how people use it as a tool to impose their will on you. And once you're able to look at them and laugh, then perhaps you are going to be able to overcome whatever it is that people are trying to make you afraid. That's what they know, that that is the power that people have over you. And it's like there's another movie that I saw that was called Labyrinth. And Labyrinth was from the 80s. Okay, you can tell my age here, but Labyrinth, at the end of the movie, the most profound statement that she said at the very end of the movie is, "You have no power over me." And I think that is the key. Do not let these people have power over you. Do not let them make you afraid of things, or of them. Do not make, I mean, I don't mean go out and do something foolish. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying recognize that in everyday activity, and when you go out and do your thing, that you do not let somebody try to push you into doing something that you don't want to do by making you afraid. Because in your heart and in your conscience, you will find the answers to what it is you want to do. If you want to do it, if it feels right or it feels wrong, whatever it is that you decide to do, you do it because in your heart and mind, you know that it's the right thing to do. So that's what I got for you today. No cards today, but I did want to give you that message because I thought it was important. My guides seemed to indicate that it was important, that it was a message that needed to be shared. But you can find messages in lots of different things, in lots of places, in movies, even Disney movies. Imagine that. But I will tell you this: I think that what's happening in Portland right now is an example that should be shared. I will not be at the protest on Saturday because I have something planned already, and it was planned like 2 months ago. So, and this was before I knew about the protest, so I won't be there. But I will say this, that with regards to the protests, I think it would be absolutely hilarious if a lot of people showed up at the protests in costume as frogs, as unicorns, Tyrannosaurus Rex. I even saw Care Bear, Sunshine Bear or Cheer Bear or something at the port in Portland. So let Portland be the guiding force on Saturday. Let this idea of finding humor and being able to mock the evil in the world in such a way that can bring joy to others. And I think it's a great idea. So if you're at the at the protests. Be safe. I did some videos a few months ago about protesting, and maybe take a look at those, and also look at some of the other people who are talking about the protests and stuff, and what their suggestions are for staying safe, like writing your phone numbers and stuff on your arm in like ink, so that if your phone gets taken away or something like that, that you will have a way to contact somebody if you need help. Staying in groups, things like that. So stay safe, stay well. If I get back on before Saturday, I will pull some cards or something. But I think that it's going to go okay. I think you're going to be all right. But anyway, take care. Have a great day. And as always, namaste.